If you're a newer casual player who simply wants to get comfortable with Outriders and jump into the game without feeling like you're missing out on something or overwhelmed, you've come to the right place. In fact, if you're starting up the game for the first time, you can play through this video with your first steps. We'll briefly cover optimal game settings, navigation, skills, and basic information about armor and mods. If you would like to support this channel, liking and commenting will help promote this video to more people. Also, subscribe if you'd like to see more videos like this. Many have referred to this game as the Destiny killer, and my friends list is certainly showing that it is a threat. But if you want to compare this game to another one, Destiny is not it. In fact, Outriders is much more like Diablo 3 and shares many similarities that we'll refer to throughout this video. So, if you've played Diablo 3, you'll catch up pretty quickly. The biggest piece of advice I give to new players for any game is play alone. I can't stress this enough. I didn't really learn how to play Destiny 2 until I started playing alone, and by knowing how to play, I mean using my navigation and radar, figuring out what to do and why, and all of the little things in this massive game that help you understand how to simply play the game. Outriders is no different. Trust me, you'll miss out on basic gameplay principles and the story if you play with friends, so politely or not, tell them that you are going to play the first campaign on your first character alone. Also, tell them you don't want any advice. No, seriously, don't accept advice until you've at least gotten your feet wet. Your friends will be excited that you are playing, and they'll tell you all sorts of things that you simply aren't ready for. And knowing how to mod your weapons at the very beginning, well, it's useless information at this point. Like many games, the campaign will teach you how to play by slowly introducing you to new concepts and missions. Let's talk about settings. This game has proven to be resource heavy, and many have reported high CPU usage, sometimes even max. Game stuttering results and ruins the experience. You can do a few things to make it work much better. First, check your graphics card settings to make sure the game is set to use your GPU. For GeForce users, this will be in Manage 3D Settings. For more information on adjusting your PC settings, I placed a link in the description below to Jarv's video, Best PC Settings 2021. Check it out. In the game, the first thing you should do is go to Options. In your character screen, in the lower left corner below the blinking gold Continue Game button, there is an Options button. Click that. The different settings types are listed across the top, and it takes you into gameplay options. Look through these and set them how you like. For example, I like to toggle sprint rather than hold on to sprint. Change the auto loot minimum rarity to common. We'll go over this later, and it will make your life way easier, especially since you're new and your top priority is to learn the game and collect materials that will be useful for more advanced gameplay later. Switch your default game privacy to closed so your friends can't just hop in. No, seriously, keep them out until you understand what you're doing and you've had a chance to understand the game and enjoy the story. I turned cinematic camera smoothing down. I personally see no reason why the game has to be incredibly shaky, but if you want to feel like you're in a snow globe that's being shaken, turn that baby up. Gamers have noted that this game seems to have a lot more shaking than other games. Under Display, common advice to improve gameplay performance is to turn off VSync and turn off Enable FPS Limit. Limiting FPS in the game is usually helpful, but it has been reported that the setting in Outriders has the unintended opposite effect of smoother performance. Another common recommendation is to turn off motion blur. These settings helped greatly improve the game performance on my computer. I noticed that the advanced display settings did nothing to change it, so I left these on Ultra. Adjust these as you see fit. Lastly, controls. I play a lot of other games, so I made sure the controls were similar. For example, I chose to assign M as my map button and J as my journal button. You can access everything through your map, so it's not important to remember everything as long as you have one hot button to get you into your menus. Play the campaign on easy mode, which is World Tier 1. Click on the World Tier button above the Continue Game button to change world tiers. You're going to want to get used to the gameplay before you increase this level, and some have reported that leveling your first character on World Tier 1 made it easier and faster to level their other characters up. I personally don't know how that works yet, but it's not going to hurt you to take it easy and simply enjoy the game at first. World tiers in Outriders work just like Diablo 3 difficulty levels, except that in Diablo 3 you could probably start on the hard difficulty level, which is the third hardest level, while World Tier 1 in Outriders is going to give you some major challenges. So I recommend starting here to play through the story. Play through the campaign on World Tier 1 to unlock everything and simply get used to the game, and then join with friends and power up through the world tiers to gain more powerful loot. Outriders starts the game where you last left off. Click the Continue Game button to load into the story. You will begin the campaign if you've never played, and if you are midway through, you'll begin at your last save point. The campaign will begin introducing you to different characters and fighting. This is a pretty easy familiarization process, and all you really need to know is how to figure out where to go. Bring up your map and click on the campaign mission so it says Tracked next to it. Exit the map and hold down Tab so the game will show you where to go. After each mission, check out the lore cards. If I'm in a safe place in the middle of a mission, I'll sometimes read the lore cards as I get them. The game will prompt you to push a button to read the lore card. If you miss this prompt, either because you're fighting or you're listening to dialogue, simply open your journal when you're ready and view the lore card with the gold border around it. New entries will blink in your journal. Sometimes an entry will blink a second time, but it's not a bug. This means that something relevant to the story has been added to that lore card, so scroll down to the bottom of that lore card to view the updated entry below the dotted line. You'll discover some interesting and funny stuff in these lore cards, as well as information that will flesh out the story so you'll understand the main plot better, as well as relationships between the different characters. The first mission in Outriders is a tutorial mission and will introduce you to combat. The auto loot setting we adjusted earlier will automatically pick up everything in the area when you teleport or travel to another area. However, some of us simply feel better picking everything up ourselves. Once you defeat your first enemies, tap the H button on your keyboard and that will pick up all loot in the area. For controller users, press down on the D-pad. When you learn to mine your first resource, tap the H button to pick it up the resource. This auto-collect button will pick up everything that was dropped in the area, and you won't have to worry about searching for drops and manually picking them up. So, you can check out your drops before going on to the next area, but it probably won't be necessary. The only time I check out new gear and skills in the middle of a mission is when I'm underperforming and searching for something more effective. I also have some basic tips for moving through an area. First, focus on combat and defeating all enemies. Your radar in the top left corner shows where the enemies are in relation to you. They are the red dots. Enemies at the bottom are behind you. Those at the top are in front of you. Note that your end goal also shows up on the radar in the direction that you should travel. Remember to use your abilities to clear ads. Spam them. Being aggressive in damaging and defeating enemies will heal you. The last enemy will drop a key that has a blue cogwheel symbol over it. You can pick this up and use it when you are ready to move on. But before you do, scour the area to find resources to mine. Locate the blue loot box that is likely hidden somewhere in the area. and then press H to collect everything. You are then ready to pick up the key and move to the next area. Note that sometimes there won't actually be a key, but you'll just need to clear a path. In Diablo 3, you have 3 levels of navigation that I'll share with you because Diablo 3 has a greatly simplified system that we can use to more easily understand Outriders. You have the basic map of the area that you are currently in, such as a building. This does not exist in Outriders. The act containing all of the location points for that particular act, and the sanctuary, which is basically the world map giving you access to each of the acts. Outriders works the same way, except there are only 2 map tiers equivalent to Diablo's acts and the sanctuary. In Outriders, you can select a nearby fast travel point to view and travel to all of the discovered and claimed fast travel points within your current region. A region is equivalent to an act. Speak with Yakub to access the different regions in the game. This is equivalent to Diablo's Sanctuary level, where you choose which act you want to travel to. For your initial low-level playthrough of the campaign, check your armor and weapons to make sure you have the highest level equipped, or about the highest level, depending on what you like. You will notice that you find weapons that heal you and provide other benefits, and armor that complement your skills. You can only equip 3 skills at a time, so look for armor with mods that match those skills. For example, I use Heat Wave, Thermal Bomb, and Volcanic Rounds, so I opt for armor with mods related to those skills. You will eventually find weapons that you really like and may want to at least level them up so you can continue using them. Dr. Sahidi will become part of your caravan when you unlock Eagle Peaks, and he will be the person you talk to modify your weapons and armor. In the beginning, I recommend doing this as little as possible while you focus on collecting materials instead of spending them. Refrain from making modifications that require titanium, as you will want to save this for later when you get a better idea of what you want and as you obtain better gear. Breaking down armor and weapons can be done individually, selecting weapons by right-clicking them and then clicking delete. You can also click on the squares in the lower right corner and select all of the weapons and armor of that respective type. If you do this and you simply want to keep one of those weapons, for example, you select all the blues but you want to keep one blue, simply deselect that blue by right-clicking on it and then delete the rest. Breaking down items will give you crafting materials and mods that you can use for later. Armor and weapon modding will become more important as you level up, and I recommend concerning yourself with this later after you've had a chance to power level with some of your friends and decide what you really want to do with your character. The class tree provides for greater customization of your character and has 3 main paths that can be crossed over at the major junctions, or simply the larger circles on the tree. It's okay to fiddle around with it because there's no cost to reset it and try again. You'll probably want to change this as you evolve as a player. You occasionally receive a notification that you completed an accolade. I usually notice this when I'm in my menus and I see a yellow exclamation mark next to the accolades. Click on the accolade to receive a cosmetic reward. At camp, interact with the stash to store items that can be shared across multiple characters and to claim items from your inbox. Select Story Point lets you choose to go back and play parts of the campaign as if you hadn't unlocked the parts past that. I loaded into the next part of the story and it took me directly into a boss fight that I could not avoid without going back to the last mission of the last story point. This option is especially useful for farming past missions as you level up your character. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. Liking and commenting ensures that YouTube will suggest this video to others. Thank you for your support.